Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to another Premier League prediction video where of course today the prediction king is back. Okay, I don't officially have that title, but I would take it if anyone wanted to give it to me.
No.
But of course today we're going to be talking about Premier League Matchweek 31 and all that it entails. I mean, we've got brilliant fixtures like Manchester United versus Leicester City, Manchester United losing the last 3 games they've played versus the Foxes. Can they turn it around this time? Can Newcastle United pull a tricky one over the likes of Tottenham Hotspurs? Will Everton be embarrassed once again as they take on West Ham United? All of those topics we're going to be discussing in today's video. Now of course, before we jump into the predictions, let me just remind you that if you're not part of this community, the Fincross football community, to make sure to subscribe down below, very close to 3,100 subscribers. I know we can hit it very soon. I know we can hit it faster than Will Smith hit Chris Rock. There we go, I've joined the meme format. Can I be part of the community now? But of course, looking at game number 1, we've got Liverpool versus Watford. Now, I don't know about you, but this isn't necessarily a tricky one. I do think Liverpool will end up taking it, and I'm going to go for a pretty comfortable 3-0 win. I don't think Liverpool are going to go full out guns blazing. I don't think they're going to put forward their strongest team. Of course, it's very soon until they play Manchester City, their biggest game of the season. So I do think they will want to rest quite a few players, especially after the international break with Salah and Sadio Mane playing quite a bit. But of course, looking at the likes of Liverpool, they should win comfortably versus Watford, because in their last few games versus Watford, in their last 6 meetings versus the Hornets, they've scored 20 goals and they've only conceded 3. So I don't know about you, but I do think that the odds are heavily in Liverpool's favour. And in terms of a player to watch, as I said, I do think Liverpool are going to want to rest Salah, they are going to want to rest Mane. So I do think that this will be Luis Diaz's time to shine. He has been brilliant for them, and as I said, they are going to want to rest Salah and Mane. Moving on to the next game, we've got Brighton versus Norwich. Now of course, a big game for one of the best French attackers in the entire world. No, forget about your Thierry Henry, forget about your Kylian Mbappe. It is time for Neil Maupay, because he is about to break a major record. Well, I think that he possibly could in a game like this, because Neil Maupay could be Brighton's top goal scorer of all time in the Premier League. Yes, that's right, good old crybaby face could break that record for Brighton, scoring 26 goals in the Premier League for them, and it just takes one more for him to become their top goal scorer of all time. And I genuinely think that Brighton should be able to do it. Look, they've definitely fallen off since the beginning of the season, losing a lot of unnecessary points, but versus Norwich, a team that obviously they are in the relegation zone, bottom of the table, 20th place, I do think Brighton should be able to take it. Although they haven't been in brilliant form, I do think Brighton should be able to take this one at least 2-0. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they took it 2-0, but once again, as I said, why can't I type this in? And obviously, having that record in place, I do think Maupay, he will be my player to watch. Next up, we've got Burnley versus Man City. Now, Burnley, they just don't have a good time when it comes to Manchester City. I mean, in terms of records, I mean, in the last 8 games between these two teams, Manchester City have scored 30 goals in the last 8 games versus Burnley, and Burnley, they've just got the 1.
Great success.
So I think in terms of defensive and attacking ability, I don't think Manchester City are scared. Once again, they're one of those teams that if they played their second or even their third place team or their third team, I think that they would rival against most in the Premier League. They would probably still get a European spot. I do think Man City should take this one easily. I am going to go for a 3-0 win. Burnley have had a good season, have had a tiny bit of a dip in form, as you can see, but obviously looking at both of these teams where they are right now on the table, it's not a tricky one. I'm going to give Man City the win, and my player to watch is going to be good old Phil Foden at 21 years old, definitely looking like such a brilliant player. 7 goals, 3 assists in the Premier League. Once again, just a young phenomenon, and I do think that he will take Burnley by storm. Moving on, we've got Chelsea versus Brentford. Now, of course, looking at both of these two teams, obviously Chelsea would be the favourites. I mean, they have gotten 5 wins in a row at the moment, which is their best spell so far this Premier League season. Obviously, looking at the likes of Brentford, I mean, they've definitely picked up in form as well, or they have scored 6 goals in their last 3 games, where previously it took them 9 games to score 6 goals. So definitely picking up in form in terms of how they are scoring their goals. Obviously, maybe not always getting the results, but obviously, as you can see, before their loss here versus Leicester City, they did get 2 wins. I do think Brentford have potential to upset Chelsea, but at the end of the day, Chelsea are the clear favourites, and I am going to give them It's a tricky one. I'm going to give them a 3-1 win. And their player to watch is, I think I am going to have to go for Mason Mount. Top goal scorer, top assist maker. I mean, he's just been brilliant for Chelsea. Although I'm very tempted to good old Christian Eriksen. Obviously scoring 2 goals in the international break for Denmark. I mean, he scored with his first ever touch back for Denmark after his cardiac arrest. I mean, surely that's some sort of sign that he is officially back. I think Christian Eriksen, absolutely brilliant player. He could make the difference, but I do think Chelsea will take this one. Moving on, we've got Leeds United versus Southampton. Now, yes, I know we are currently in April, but I mean, talk about March. Jesse Marsch, to be exact. He has really changed this Leeds United team. Sorry, yes, I just can't get out back of my head how bad of a dad joke that was. But I mean, I don't always plan them. I mean, it is what it is once again. But obviously, looking at their last 2 results, a 3-2 win versus Wolves is absolutely massive, considering Wolves are in 8th place. They've been brilliant this season. Obviously, that 2-1 win versus Norwich, it was expected of them. But at the end of the day, this will not be an easy game for either of these two teams. Southampton obviously been brilliant this season. They are in 11th place. They are looking for that comfortable mid-table finish. Now, of course, who do I think will get the result? As I said, I think it is tremendously close. Southampton have really taken valuable points so far this season. They've really impressed me. But I do think that it really could go down as a draw. Yes, I know that's a really weak argument. It's like, oh, you're too scared to choose a winner. Well, yes, kind of. But at the end of the day, I can see these two teams sharing the points, and I do think that my player to watch, I am very tempted to go for someone like Daniel James or one of the Southampton players. Obviously, they've got the likes of Brozier, James Ward-Prowse, Kyle Walker-Peters. They've got brilliant options. But I do think it's going to be a weird one. I am going to go for the likes of Rodrigo, obviously, the Leeds United player. He has scored in the last few games for Leeds United, finding himself a little purple patch of form. And I do think that has potential to continue versus Southampton. Moving on to the next game, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Aston Villa. Now, this is a game I am excited for, to be honest with you. Obviously, as I said, Wolves have had a brilliant season. Currently in 8th place. They've definitely picked up since last season. Obviously, looking at Aston Villa, 9th place at the moment. So, obviously, it is a huge game. Aston Villa 10 points behind Wolves. This is going to be a massive game. And obviously, Wolves, they're going to want to recover after that loss versus Leeds United. I think the Wolves, they've been slightly attacked at the moment. I mean, looking more like Chihuahuas at the moment, unfortunately. But they have had a good season. And versus an Aston Villa team that has picked up at points this season, I feel like it has potential to truly go either way. But at the moment, I might have to go for the villains, to be honest with you. I might be the villain and say that they could go for the villains. I am going to give Aston Villa a 2-1 win just because looking them overall as a whole, I feel like defensively, definitely had their solid moments. Obviously, Tyrone Mings has been absolutely brilliant for the England international team in terms of attacking ability. Obviously, I mean, we know how good Aston Villa have been in terms of form. Obviously, the likes of Watkins, they've got the likes of Coutinho, they've got brilliant players. I don't know, I think just heading into this, it could go either way, but something's just telling me Aston Villa could take it. And in terms of a player to watch, I am going to go for Emi Martinez, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. I think this game is going to be the battle of the goalkeepers. Jose Sa versus obviously Emi Martinez. Obviously looking at Martinez, 2.6 saves per game. Obviously a very impressive stat. 9 clean sheets so far this season. Could go either way, but I do think Aston Villa might just snatch it. And obviously heading into our next game, it is the big one. It is Manchester United versus Leicester City. I mean, Manchester United, I don't know what to do at this point in time, you know. I mean, obviously, we haven't been in an awful spell of form, but I mean, way too many draws, way too many draws. I mean, we're not Picasso. We can't be doing this draw thing.
Okay, I like it, Picasso. Yeah, that way.
At the moment, I mean, we need to pick up valuable results if we want to keep this top 4 fight alive. I mean, looking at us, we're 6th place behind Spurs and Arsenal. Heading into the season, I could never have imagined us falling behind Arsenal and Spurs, but somehow it has managed to happen. Obviously, Leicester City not having a brilliant season, currently in 10th place. They would have hoped for a lot better, but obviously looking at these two teams, as I said, the history between these two teams at the moment, Leicester City have won 3 of the last 10 meetings between them. That's not good for United, and obviously United picking up a 3-2 win versus Spurs, that will boost their confidence, but unfortunately just had an international break. What will that do to the team? No idea. Leicester City, obviously previous game, a 2-1 win versus Leicester. I do genuinely think that this could go either way, and the Manchester United player inside of my heart, the fan inside of my heart, wants to so badly give this to United.
Do it.
but I do genuinely think this will go down as a 2-2 draw. I do think it could go either way, and I just can't decide it. And in terms of my play to watch, I'm going to go for good old Yuri Tillemans, a player who's been linked to Manchester United. Obviously has been really decent in the midfield for Leicester City. But yeah, I do think Manchester United, unfortunately, with your current form, I struggle to see you guys coming out on top. Now moving on, we've got West Ham versus Everton. Now obviously looking at these two teams, Everton, what are you doing? 17th place in the Premier League table. West Ham United fighting for a European spot. Once again, just looking at Everton in terms of their form, I just can't see them beating West Ham United. But saying that, obviously they did beat Newcastle United 1-0 in their previous game. I mean, that is a positive factor. They could definitely look at that for a positive factor. But as I said, looking at these two teams right now, West Ham United are looking like the stronger team. I'm really struggling to find the difference between them. I mean, in terms of the last 10 games between them, it is equal. 4 wins West Ham, 4 wins Everton, 2 draws. Whoa. It doesn't get much closer than that, to be honest with you. Yeah, as I said, maybe Everton will get some sort of boost versus their win versus Newcastle United. But in the meantime, I do see West Ham taking this one. Obviously, Everton absolute shambles, absolutely too slow in defense, and I do think that that could cost them. Obviously, defensive mistakes. Obviously, West Ham United have been really brilliant in terms of attack. But my player to watch, it will be good old Declan Rice. Absolutely commands that midfield. He will bully Everton's midfield. I am telling you that. I mean, you're going to have to send him to the principal at this rate.
I don't know. I think that's a bit dodgy, mate.
But obviously, Declan Rice, as I said, he's just been so brilliant for West Ham United, for England in that midfield, and it just rivals absolutely no one in that Everton team. As I said, West Ham should take it. Moving on, we've got Spurs versus Newcastle. Now, obviously, Newcastle have been brilliant since the turn of the year. As you guys can see, I mean, looking all the way from, even end of December. They have only lost 2 games versus Everton, versus Chelsea. Chelsea is expected. Everton, a bit of a weird one, but at the end of the day, versus Spurs, do I think that they could get the result? I don't think so, to be honest. I think looking at Spurs, yes, although they're very funny, very unpredictable. At the end of the day, I mean, they haven't been too bad of form as of late. They have played relatively well defensively. I think they've got a few things that they should work on, but they have had their good defensive spells. Attacking-wise, they are definitely there at the moment. I mean, looking at Tottenham Hotspurs, they've scored 16 goals in their last 5 games. Obviously, previously or recently, they beat West Ham United 3-1. I do think Spurs are the stronger team heading into this, and I do think that they will beat Newcastle 3-1. I do think it should be a relatively comfortable game. And in terms of a player to watch, it is going to be Harry Kane, second top goal scorer, one of the top assist makers, 5 assists, 12 goals. Harry Kane is officially back. I mean, it's so weird to think how far behind everyone he was. I'm pretty sure he only had like 1 goal 13 games into the season. Now he's one of the top goal scorers. Harry Kane is officially back, and I do think we'll see that versus Newcastle United. Heading into I believe is our second last game. Yeah, our second last game. We've got Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Now, of course, maybe the biggest talking point is obviously Patrice Evra, or
are you sure about that?
Patrice Evra, what am I talking about? Patrick Vieira, obviously former Arsenal legend and captain, obviously manager of Crystal Palace. Last time these two teams played against each other, it was a 2-2 draw, but looking at both of them this time around, once again, as you can see, so many draws for Crystal Palace. Arsenal have been in brilliant form. I mean, in terms of their form, I mean, they've only gotten 2 losses since the 11th of December in their last 13 matches. I mean, that is insane to think that the only 2 losses they've gotten is versus Manchester City and Liverpool, 2 of the teams fighting for the title race. So that's not too bad. Arsenal clearly the better team in terms of form at the moment. They should take this one 2-1, but you never know what could happen. And in terms of a player to watch, I have to go for the golden boy, Bukayo Saka. 9 goals. I mean, to think that he could get 10 Premier League goals in the next match, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think the youngsters of this Arsenal team are really pulling through, and I do think that will carry them versus Crystal Palace. And of course, that takes us to our final game of Premier League Matchweek 31, Burnley versus Everton. Now, once again, I just don't know what to think of Everton at the moment. I mean, Burnley have truly had their promising spells at moments this season. So it's like, yes, I know both of them are playing twice this match week. They are going to be relatively tired. But I genuinely think it could go either way. 19th place versus 17th place. It is so weird to think that Burnley, I would say, have been in better form than Everton as of late. I've definitely been a lot more convinced of Burnley. I do think that defensively, they can look very solid from time to time. Attacking-wise, I think they've got some brilliant players. Where Everton, as a a whole have just been dreadful, and I don't know what to think about them at the moment. But yeah, do I think that Everton could beat Burnley? A part of me does think that. I do think it could go either way. I mean, I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, to be honest with you, because for some reason I do feel like maybe Everton could scrape this one. And in terms of a player to watch, I'm going to go for a man who scored 2 goals for Brazil in the international break with the likes of Richarlison. I mean, yeah, absolutely brilliant player on his day, has been linked to some top clubs around Europe, definitely will move away from Everton if they get relegated. He is one of those players. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for my Premier League Match Week 31 predictions. I hope that you have enjoyed it. How many of them will be correct, I've got no idea, but don't forget to put your predictions down below. Of course, World Cup qualifiers or the World Cup tables should be released very, very soon. I will have a video released on that within the next day or two if they do get released. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, subscribe to join the community. I would of course really appreciate it. Let's see if we can get this video to 20 likes. And of course, yeah, as I said, if there are any predictions I made that you guys disagree with, let me know in the comment section down below. But until next time, this has been Finn, FYNN. Cheers.